Hi, and welcome to the Mentor.Social podcast. I'm Scott Hosbin,
Hi, I'm Dashay Williams.
and we're here to just talk about our journey in mentoring and trying to bring mentoring to the world. I mean, we really said early on, our goal is nothing less than making sure every person on earth has a mentor, and we just started doing it. It was interesting. I think we were talking once about an Elon Musk quote where he talks about do something that you would still do even if you were going to fail. And
Yes.
we talked about it, and there's so many things you're really only doing because you think they have a chance of success. So we really wanted something. If we were to leave Earth, what would we want to be remembered for? And nothing seemed more important than everyone having a mentor or someone they could look to.
100%. I totally agree with that whole entire concept, and that's our main idea, our main push behind Mentor.Social in general.
Yeah.
So we look forward to you guys connecting with us in our app and being engaging.
So I think this week it was really interesting, some of the responses we got as we get more emails from customers. And one of the things I saw was a lot of differences in the way different age groups see mentoring. I know, one gentleman I had a conversation with who was, a little older, maybe around 60. And for him, he thought of it as very uncomfortable to have a conversation or answer a question online and for the world to see. And what I thought was interesting is younger folks find it just as awkward to go meet some stranger at a Denny's every Sunday. So that you have these two different views and what's awkward for the two different groups, and then the application makes it a little easier for both of them.
Yes, I have a question. So in general, have you ever met someone like a mentor per se, like at a place? Have you ever gone for personal experience? Now that we're saying like we're trying to bridge the gap, have you had personal experience with that?
So I'd say yes and no. So no, I've never met a stranger to get mentoring. My whole life I always wished there was someone there that would mentor me, and then, there wasn't. You had to, make mistakes, fail, learn on your own. So I always wished I had someone to guide me a little more. And in the last few years, I've had a guy, Michael, that I just met through work who's been mentoring with me. And with him, yes, I'd meet with him, and it's not awkward, but we already sort of connected through work a bit anyway.
Okay.
And how about you?
I'll say how I met my mentor was through a connection, but when we did meet, we met at one of my basketball games. I want to say like I went out of my way to meet at like McDonald's or another place like that, but we did meet in a common place of interest. Yeah. So, I would say it was good meeting out in a public place, but then you're also surrounded by people, so nothing was kind of out of the ordinary because I had that familiarity with the person who introduced me to my mentor, so it was more of a comfortable feeling of not being a complete stranger per se. So, not you're still nervous because at the end of the day, sixth grader, still shy, not know how to look people directly in the eye. So I was shy, and those feelings come with it. But I can see why the younger generation and younger kids are more on the phone, so they kind of focus directly on that, and they would have more nerves per se of like meeting someone in person. So I can get how that become a little hard.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's important for us is sort of democratizing information, and one of the things we were talking about is by having these high level people that are available on an application or on a website, you really do a lot to bring diversity to mentoring, because traditional mentoring where you're meeting someone in person is inherently, it separates different groups. If you are the CEO of IBM, he may, but more than likely they may not be as comfortable to go into low income areas. That was one of the problems I feel, as a younger person. For me, there were mostly people with lower income jobs, so I didn't have access. Doctors and lawyers weren't coming to hang around, and no one's parents were doctors and lawyers, so I didn't have access to any of those kinds of offerings to even get information, and that holds true throughout the country. So the idea, it seems like everybody high level and in an executive community talks about the need to help everyone and help indigent populations to get ahead. And the problem is they're not going to go drive to low-income areas. So one of the things we're doing by making this application is saying we're making it easy for all the groups to sort of intermingle on a shared concept or a shared interest.
So I want to ask, like, what do you think is the biggest hesitation for, as far as like mentors going out and like meeting mentees in person? Like, do you think that there's a drawback somewhere? What do you would say is the biggest issue with that?
With mentors
Going out and meet, like, what would a mentor say to you, why I don't go out and meet mentees in public, meet students in public anymore?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things that was a large number of emails that Greg got back, the product manager, was folks that said, I would love to mentor, but I don't have time to do the same time every week, and I don't want to let someone down. And the interesting thing to me is it wasn't a one-off thing. So it took some time for him to explain to them, no, that's part of the reason we're doing this is so that a busy executive or, anyone that has a lot of information to give that's still very busy can do it based on their schedule. So when there's a question that fits their expertise, it's sitting there waiting for them. And then when they get a chance, they answer it. And instead of, I think one of the bigger things is, when you have an individual mentor, they share the information with you. That's a one-person connection. One person shares in that information. Now, if one young adult asks a question, how to be a pro NBA player, and LeBron James answers that question, there's probably millions of young adults that can take advantage of those insights. 100%. So it's like much more efficient for those mentors as well. But I think that was one of the number one things that we've heard back from some of the customers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that registered in my mind was time.
Yeah.
Everyone has already like dedicated slots to what they do per day. Like go to work, family, gym, this and that. So like time slots are very limited. So what we bring with Mentor.Social is that the convenience. The convenience factor is number one. We have the mentees posting the questions already. You log in as a mentor. You see which question you want to click, boom, record, audio, post. Simple as that. Less than a minute per se. So I think the convenience factor that Mentor.Social brings is what really will help bridge this gap between mentees and mentors and mentorship.
One of the neat things that stuck out to me too was, how younger and older generations decide who's credible. Mm-hmm. So, the older folks that we talk to think of them as a young adult, and they would say, "Hey, but normally you need years to identify who is credible and who isn't, who am I looking up to?" And where a lot of younger folks are looking for sort of social cues or social verification of someone, where that person is more valid because their content had a lot more likes or more engagement from others, and that brought them like social proof so that they could gauge pretty quickly on the validity of the information based on how it sounds, and then how almost society has like sources together to bring instant validation. So I think that's like a neat thing we're learning from younger adults, that they really enjoy that they could just quickly get to who they need to talk to.
But that brings me to ask you personally, say put yourself in 16 through age 20, age range, and how would you view who is a valid mentor? Like, how would you, like, what's your view or what's your perception of what you think or consider a valid mentor to be?
Yeah. If I think back to 16 to 20, I mean, a lot of it is really anyone with more information than me. Me as an adult now, I would encourage everyone of any age that's looking for advice, make sure that they've achieved what they're giving you advice on. There's plenty of people that are willing to give financial advice that are broke. If that person didn't cash you $1 million check, then they're probably not going to teach you like how to go make $1 million transaction. Right. So I think, it's tough. So I mean, that's where some of it is, I think, will bring some validity through the website itself. But at 16 to 20, a lot of it is based on, okay, does what they say seem to make sense? Are they expanding my mindset around this information? So it's hard because you're base of information is so small. I think it's around that age where, I would say 13 to 16, 17, my mind thinks I know everything.
Right.
There's nothing I can learn. I know everything. And then all of a sudden real life hits you. When I graduated high school, 17, 18, my parents say, okay, hey, you owe $400 a month rent now, and you have all these obligations, and reality hits in quick, and you're like, okay, there's a lot that I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know. How about you? I mean, how did you? You had the luck of having a mentor that someone gave some sort of validity to.
Right.
So I think that helps. But how else did you look at other folks and who you listened to?
Well, kind of the same thing you said, based on the knowledge that I had at that certain age. Anyone who knew more than me, I would consider valuable. Not really knowing how valid their advice may be, but to me, it all seemed to be more reasonable. I only know so much, and I can only go so far by myself. So a lot of people who did help me, you take into consideration being, I was smart. I'm not naive or anything like that. So if something sounds off, you don't listen to it. But if advice sounds, okay, that sounds actually right, let me try to take a listen. But that also brings me to another point of some people are going to connect more with others. So I believe that everyone is going to have experience and have knowledge that they need to share. But the mentee will decide who they pick up on and who they want to listen to. Because someone can have as much knowledge and experience, and that mentee just might not connect with them and might not really make that transition and really follow through what they're saying. But they might resonate with someone who's a little bit younger and not as experienced and follow that path. So I think everyone's journey is completely different, but you do have to follow your own path.
Yeah. It made me think a little bit of even, the idea of, as a young adult, when I did get tidbits of advice from older folks, I would tend to listen to it. And then I feel that as I've gotten ahead more in life and got my own experiences, there's also a lot that older people that I was around were telling me in good intention, but it was poor advice. And I think that's just as much as seeking out advice for young adults, a lot of it is also starting to take everything with a grain of salt, for that you might be surrounded, with people that really haven't achieved much because of their mindsets. And it's a lot, I think, to deconstruct that and say, okay, maybe there's things and beliefs that I have that aren't actually right. You hear things like money is the root of all evil, and you hear that a lot. Like if you're in a not well off environment, and you get older, and you're like, well, that's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's that's something that or people say everyone that has money, they must have inherited it. You hear that all the time growing up. Like, well, they had this thing and that thing, and then you get ahead. You meet people that are ahead. And you realize it's completely false. It's like a silly thing to even assume that. The majority of millionaires in the United States are self-made. But by repeating that, I think in a lower income community, then everybody feels better about themselves. That I'm not failing because I didn't work hard or I didn't work smart. I'm failing because the system's against me. And that kind of thinking is very dangerous. So I think it's as much about finding that good information out there, and you also have to question, like, what have I been surrounded, and is that really the best information that's right for me?
Right. I completely see that, and I agree with that.
Yeah. No, I think that for there's a certain amount of growth that I feel as a person I was able to achieve by hard work, and making smart decisions, and then it gets to a point where I think the next levels were really assessing my own beliefs and breaking down the things that, I didn't realize I was trained to think these and they were actually wrong. You have to have tons of money to make money. And, there's, I think a certain level that you can get from hard work, but then it's like a whole nother level is just really reflecting on your own self-beliefs and then tearing that down and finding better self-beliefs from people that have really achieved high success.
Yeah, you know that saying that they say, what? You surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you become the 6th.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you place yourself around, you can become, you know? So you really kind of want, if you see yourself as this way, then let's find these people in that realm that you want to get to and just put it around. You know, you put yourself out there, you see their habits, what do they do? Now you start to repeat what they do. You see their schedule. Okay, let's replicate that schedule, and you will become as successful as they are.
Yeah, no, it's like you hear people repeat, your network is your net worth. And it sounds silly, but it is a real fact. You know, the more you can get around the people that you want to be like. I know I went to a Tony Robbins talk and he talked about it, and I thought, geez, I don't know. There weren't that many people that did well that are around that I know. And how am I going to get to these really high-level people? And I started thinking, well, how about virtually? And that's where I went back to LinkedIn, and I started connecting with a lot of folks. And I thought, geez, if I just stop using Facebook and I start using LinkedIn, you know, I want to make the circle that I'm communicating with these high-level folks that have a shared interest. And, you know, man, it was almost instantly when I shifted that, it really made such a difference in that my conversations each day with people that I had met were much higher level and moving towards much higher of important things for the world.
Yeah, I also kind of want to touch on, you know how you mentioned Tony Robbins. I think everyone resonates with different motivational speakers differently as well. So I want to take that into consideration just in regards to like mentorship and all that as well.
Absolutely.
So love Tony Robbins, but who I really look up to, you know, is Eric Thomas.
Yeah, you
right?
like Eric Thomas a lot.
So, but a lot of people you might hear, no, it's kind of hard for me to listen to. He's yelling, he's this and that. But I think for each individual, what they want or what they need to push them in life comes off differently from people. Some people, that's too aggressive for me. For me personally, that's something that I'm used to. That's something that kind of, like I put myself like, man, he kind of has a similar story to me. So you kind of look at it like, hey, like, look where he is now. Look at his progression. So I think you kind of compare yourselves and kind of look at, it is possible. Like where you are now doesn't have to be where you have to be tomorrow. Okay, so you always have to take one step forward each day to kind of go, to get steps ahead. You can't go backwards. The only way you can go is forward. So just honestly stay positive every day. Keep working 1% better every day. And look, you'll get there.
Yeah. I think it's one of the great things now, you know, with the internet and social media is this access to so many different motivators. Like I really like Alex Hormsey a lot and Leela Hormsey, his wife. You know, there's folks like Grant Cardone, you have David Goggins, you know, a lot of people. So to your point, you know, whatever you're looking for, whatever tone, intensity, maybe it's even certain areas of interest. There's a guy, Lex Friedman, who does a great job just on intellectual thinking and analyzing topics. So I think there's so many different people.
Yes.
To your point, it's, you know, you find who you really gravitate that's going to bring you up, and just surround yourself with those folks. It can make all the difference.
100%.
Yeah. So, I think, you know, that it was a great week. I think of learning with our customers. We've been, you know, having a number of people every day, of mentors that have been signing in. A lot of people sending feedback. It's been very valuable to us. It has helped us refine the platform a bit. We made a few changes. Yeah. I think more importantly, we're getting deeper and deeper insights in how the application is solving problems. You know, our mentors are able to, you know, make a difference and at scale, so that and when it's convenient for them, so they don't have to feel compelled to go every week at a certain hour. It's convenient for their busy lives. And the mentees talk about, you know, having that flexibility for them. You know, their life isn't planned and is scheduled when you're in, you know, high school, college. You know, so for them, it's very easy as well to just, when they get a thought, they can just ask it and get that instant answer. So they get that artificial intelligence piece that scans the web and puts the information together for them. And then as an expert gets available, they'll have that human answer. And it's really solving the problem for both the mentor and mentees.
Yes. Thank you for everyone for reaching out. Yep. We see all your messages and we appreciate it. And the app is coming along. Thanks to you guys. So stay tuned. Follow us on social media. And we're going to say thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.